Well, g'day fishers. Welcome back to another weekly fishing report. Bit of a chill in the air this week. Those westerly winds, that first bite of winter certainly happened now. It's going to be westerly winds most of the weekend. They're not going to be too strong. They're not going to be those August westerlies, but there's definitely going to be a chill in the air. But that'll get things moving, especially now that coming into sporting season, I guess, for the large rig, the bream, and the mullet and things like that. So definitely the bream have started to really ramp up in the estuary. I've had a couple of sessions on the fly rod, some really nice bream around the oyster racks and rock walls towards Tillagary, Soldiers Point, North Arm Cove, and also the entrance to the Crewa River. Although the water's a little bit dirty, those fish are in it, and there's plenty of big bream around at the moment. So if you're keen on your bream fishing, definitely fish the oyster racks and the rock walls over the weekend on the incoming tides. If you're a bay fisherman, well, then you can't go past a little bit of salted bonito, just anchor up, just really lightly weighted and flick those back into the racks. A little bit of burley, you should do pretty good. If you're a lure fisherman or a fly fisherman, I reckon any shrimp style plastic will work really well. So gulp shrimps, even the new Jackson 3.25 inch shrimp will work really well. If you're a hard body fisherman, the options are endless at the moment. There's plenty of new hard bodies on the market at the moment, especially new Daiwa Kadachi's been doing really well on the bream. So plenty of bream around. It's good to see. It's getting to that time of year where those breams start to spawn, and they will make their way down the estuary. You'll find that the breakwells, both Nelson Bay and the Anchorage, will fish pretty well. Now, speaking of the breakwell, young Jay's been smashing to the silver trevally. So plenty of silver trevally down along the inside Nelson Bay breakwell. Some absolute beauties as well. So if you're keen on doing that, a lightly weighted bait, 4-pound line, that's what he's been using. And smashing the silver trevally. So plenty down there at the moment, and good fun too, and good sashimi if they're legal size. Really good sashimi. So there you go, a little red hot tip there. Still some good flatties about. Young KO, we put up a video of him releasing an absolute cracker down at Little Beach, 77 centimetres. He caught that on a Daiwa Bait Junkie. So well done, KO. Absolute cracker of a flatty, and released it too. So not many young fellas get a fish of a lifetime like that one and then release it. So well done to him. Speaking of the bay, there's still plenty of bonito around. So mainly Watson's leaping bonito. They're really finicky though. They're chasing small baits. So those armour anchovies in the 5 and 11 grams will do the trick there. A couple of longtails seen in the bay but haven't been caught. They're a little bit sporadic. I wouldn't say they're in big numbers. There's pods of 1s, 2s and 3s around. But if you're Johnny on the spot, you might get a cast into them at this stage. Lots of small mulloway around, so plenty of anglers, when they're fishing for the bream at the moment, been reporting lots of smaller mulloway, so undersized mulloway, so around those 50 to 60 centimetres, so which is really good to see, with a few bigger models thrown in. So it's great to see that the bay is thriving with the mulloway situation at the moment. So let's hope it continues anyway. Still a few whiting around, but I think when the water starts to cool off a bit, those whiting will start to sort of wane a little bit, and they'll be a little bit harder to get at the moment. So we'll see what happens there. But definitely with this westerly change, the bream will come on in numbers at the moment. Moving on to the beaches and the rocks, well, same deal. You'll find that those travelling bream will move on to the beaches, and it's a really good time of year, May, June, to target big bream off the beach. I've heard of a few around at Fingal, and likewise down at 1 mile there. Still a few whiting on 1 mile as well, so if you're keen on doing that, the water is still around that 21 degree mark, so still warm enough for whiting on the ocean beaches at this point in time. Some big tailor after dark as well, so with the mullet run now, so the mullet has started to run, you'll find there'll be some big tailor around. Now the best way to get a big tailor is fish after dark. You can get the incoming tide, either a big slab of bonito fillet, salted bonito fillet, or a whole garfish, and away you go. That's the key to catching those bigger tailor after dark. Or you can try first light as well, but you've got to get there before that sun rises to catch those big tailor off the beaches at the moment. Berubie's back opening full drive down there at the moment, so which is a good sign. Be worth a shot down there as well. But the beaches are fishing generally pretty well at the moment. We might start to see a few salmon turn up as that water chills off as well. Now off the rocks, there has been a couple of longtail caught off Tomaree this week. I wouldn't say they're prolific. Plenty of mac tuna, plenty of bonito. The good news is there's been plenty of snapper caught off the rocks. So reports down at Boat Harbour Fisherman's Day, there's been plenty of snapper down that way. Some nice fish up around 5-6 kilos as well. So if you're keen on chasing your snapper off the rocks, definitely get out in there and have a crack this weekend with that bit of westerly. You should do pretty well. Bread and butter species again, bream, ludrick, and a few drummer mixed in off the rocks at the moment. If you're keen, like I said before, a few tailor around, you can have a spin for those. Surface lures work really well. Remember I mentioned garfish before? Or if you get a pencil popper, works really well on those bigger tailor. Bonito will have a crack, even a king will have a crack at a pencil popper, but really, really good fun. If you haven't tried it, we've got a numerous pencil poppers in stock that will do really well on those bigger tailor at the moment. Now on the offshore scene, well, to be honest with you, the reefs are still on fire. There's plenty of trag around. I spoke to Brad off Pacific Blue Charters. He got into the Mulloway, I think I mentioned last week, in that deeper water. He ventured out in that 80, 90 metre country and got some really nice Mulloway for his customers. Still some really good snapper around. I think I'm getting reports every day of really good snapper, both on baits and on plastics. Surprising, a lot of those fish are in the shallows as well. So some really, really nice snapper around. The water has definitely come cleaner than what it was a month ago. Some good kings around now. So you'll find with those garfish and those mullets starting to congregate around the headlands and the bays, there'll be some good kingies around. May is a really good time to target big kings. And when I mean big ones, fish over 15 kilos. You can target them on live baits or stick baits, so definitely worth a shot there. A few longtails around, mainly the headlands at this point in time, so if you're keen on live baiting or stick baiting the headlands, you'll find a couple of longtails. Plenty of mac tuna though, that will drive you nuts. Spoke to Glenn, he fished up on the Big Gibber. He said there was plenty of trag and some really nice snapper up to 3.5 kilos up that way as well. So those reefs will fish particularly well. Spoke to Shane, he fished down off Boat Harbour in the shallows and got some nice snapper up to 4 kilos. So some good reds around at the moment. Now, further offshore on the continental shelf, haven't heard much at all. That current is still pushing down to the south on our rip charts at 3 knots, which is crazy for May. So if it ever backs off, we might get a winter striped marlin bite, which has happened before. Timmy Dean on Calypso, I know, caught 6 striped marlin 1 year in July. So definitely don't pack the outriggers away at this point in time, although I already have. Just still keep in there, because I think if the current backs off, we might find that we might get that late striped marlin bite as well. A few dolphin fish still on the fad, so that water's still warm there. It's about 23.5 degrees on the fad, so still some dolphin fish on the fad there if you're keen on running out there. But just be careful of that westerly this weekend. I think Sunday looks a better day for doing the offshore thing. Anyway, still plenty of good fish around despite the chill in the air. I'd get out there and get amongst it.